Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to In Black America Radio with your host, Rasta B. It is Friday, May 15th, 2020. Today's title, Death by Shooting is Still Deadlier Than COVID-19 in Black America. So this is basically... we're going to be talking highlighting a lot of the stories of black people getting murked out here in America. Again, is ramping up. And we're going to highlight a lot of those stories and things like that. And I'm going to show you how a lot of that blame goes to black leadership. And we're also going to speak on, me and my co-host, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to speak on a lot of that COVID shit, too. We're going to talk about COVID. We're going to speak on what other stories I got here. We're going to talk about the Michigan wilding out. So we're going to talk about Michigan and their armed militias. I am going to bring up, until my co-host jump in, I can bring up this story. This is the story about the guy from Love and Hip Hop. His name is Mo. And the Mo guy got caught up in a little kerfuffle where he done took too much money from the government and got caught out there. And the funny thing about it is, I believe I mentioned this on the show, where the government, well, not the government, Steve Mnuchin, in particular, said that anybody who gets $2 million or more in those loans will be audited by the government. So let's talk about this bright guy. Title. Love and Hip Hop's Mo Fain arrested, accused of greedily using $1.5 million of coronavirus loan on jewelry and a Rolls Royce. A Rolls Royce. I don't know what I said the first time. A Rolls Royce. So it goes, Maurice Mo Fain and Cardi Red celebrate in 18. Oh, that's a picture. My bad. Excuse me. Maurice Mo Fain, who appeared in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, has been arrested for allegedly misusing millions intended to help small businesses struggling during the coronavirus pandemic. Faye, who's engaged to cast member Carly Red in 18, but the couple reportedly broke up the following year. Dude is 37 years old, was living in Decula, Georgia, was arrested Wednesday, according to a news release from the Department of Justice. Authorities said that on April 15th, Fain applied for the loan for a loan of $2,045,800 of his Georgia corporation, Flame Trucking, through the Paycheck Protection Program intended to stabilize the cratering economy. Within days of receiving money for his company, Fain allegedly used more than $1.5 million of the PPP loan proceeds to purchase $85,000 in jewelry, including a Rolex presidential watch, a diamond bracelet, a 5.7 carat diamond ring for himself, and to pay $40,000 off in child support, which should have been the only thing that he paid off when he got the money, was just the child support. Everything else, straight stupidity. Fain is officially accused of bank fraud, and he made an initial appearance in court Wednesday. Federal agents searched the reality star's home Monday and found the jewelry he allegedly brought with money from the loan, as well as approximately $80,000 in cash, including $9,400 in his pockets, and a 2019 Rolls Royce with temporary tag still on it. They seized $503,000 in the funds from his bank account. So that must have been the rest of the bread. The Department of Justice reported that Fain, also known as Arkansas Mo, had originally sought a loan. He originally wanted $725,500, but he was only given the smaller amount, which is all he needed for them to still get audited. Because I told you, all Steve Mnuchin said was you needed $2 million, but he was only given a smaller amount. Brian A. Binkowski, the Assistant Attorney General of the Justice Department Criminal Division, had harsh words for Fain. The defendant allegedly stole money meant to assist hard-hit employees and businesses during these difficult times, and instead greedily used the money to bankroll his lavish purchases of jewelry and other personal items. So that's one black man fell down. And that's nothing for nobody to look at it and be like, oh, that's so stupid. Because remember, prior to him doing that shit, and this is the reason why Steve Mnuchin said it, prior to him doing that shit, all those big banks, taking Shake Shack or some shit, was taking those same loans from the small business. So what happened is when a lot of them gave the money back and some of them didn't, they redid the rules. And that's what Steve Mnuchin said. Anyone who takes $2 million or more will be audited. So when I seen that he was trying to get 3, but ended up getting 2, I was like, shit, that makes sense. But before we continue, I see Smoke is in the building, so let me see. Bring him in real quick. Smoke, you there?
Yo.
All right.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay.
What up, y'all?
Yeah, for the record, I've been here, so I just listened. Yeah, I was listening to. I saw that story earlier this week. I was like, man, so you're gonna fraud the bread because you talked about the limits on the show. Was that a couple weeks ago? And you know, when I went back and checked the links for it, all that money was soaked up. So Arkansas Mo got $2 million of that money or however much he got, and he did that to just show that he a consumer. Because I understand child support. Everybody, you should get that off the back. That's smart. All right, cool. But then you buy a Rolex and fucking Bentley with no tax. So now you just want to look like you're a rapper and shit. It's like, come on, dog. Like, it was like a stupid
come on,
shit.
man.
Like, oh, come on. You want to do that?
And then
it's
not like he was.
Nigga.
Then it wasn't even like he was able to live off that shit for 3 years, 4 years. No, this nigga got this shit, did this shit, and got jammed up for the shit. In the span of
he was over the limit. He didn't read the fine print. He didn't read the fine print, and he went over there. They were setting him up for that. Oh, $2 million. Who the hell is this guy?
He wanted 3. Wanted $3 million. So they dropped it down to the limit that they wanted to jam him up at, $2 million. That was just enough so they can audit your ass. They found out that his the business was closed since 2019, meaning he never re-registered his business. That's what that means.
Right.
He never re-registered it in Georgia, which is a $25 fee. So he never re-registered that. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that's going on and shit. And it's like, yeah, y'all playing games. See, because this is what kills me, Smoke. it ain't like they hiding the story. It's not like it was a setup. Steve Mnuchin literally said that shit live on fucking TV. He said it. He said $2 million you get, because the joke was, but then get less than that.
Yeah.
That's what the joke was. He get caught up in the trap. He get caught up in the trap. Being greedy and stupid.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Being greedy and stupid. That's why it's just like, yo. For you to do that fed time for that bread and all that, for what? It ain't, and then, like you said, that's even a consumer play. It ain't even like he took the bread, paid the child support off, and then he put that shit into some type of business or flip it some type of way. No, he went and spent that bread just as quick as he got it. Just to look like he got something that he ain't got. To look like
they might have not fucked with him if you put it in the song.
Nah, they couldn't because that's what the money was for. The money was for him to, you know what I'm saying, keep employees, keep his business running type shit. So if he would have showed paperwork showing like,
restarted.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, like it would have been good, because all they said was if you get $2 million, you're getting audited. $2 million, you're gonna get jammed up. No, they said if you get $2 million, you're gonna get audited. We want to see your books. Yeah, we want to see your books. And they said $2 million, meaning guess what? He could have got $1 million, still paid the $40,000, and still been good. But no, he got to get a Rolls Royce, a fucking pinky ring, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man.
I hope he wore that shit the whole time he had it. I hope he wore it the whole time he had it, because now that shit is going to be in an auction block somewhere.
Exactly.
The police auction block, somebody about to get that rollie for dirt cheap. Crazy.
Exactly. Dirt fucking cheap, boy. And then his name is Alex.
That's the mind frame that's the mind frame that a lot of us carry. You know what I mean? Like, for you to even do something like that, and then you, like, come on, man, you just buy a fucking Rolex, now you got a fucking, because that's the guy from Love and Hip Hop. And he was married to, I forget the Carly Red, you know what I'm saying?
Carly Red.
That's some corny storyline on there. So you're gonna go, like, even if let's say he got away with it, like, come on, son. Like, now all of a sudden you got a rollie, you ain't even playing it discreet. Like, come on, son. We want to be seen too much. You know what I'm saying? And all of those purchases that he made that you listed, that I was listening to, that's just shit to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna pull out with this. I'm gonna hop out the car. I got my rollie on. I got $9,000 in my pocket, so now you know I got a big watch. So let me find that $1 bill. You going through all the money? Like, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man. Like, what the fuck is that for? For somebody to try to stick you up or some shit? Like, come on, man. It's like none of that is even equal to good shit, but just being seen. That's what makes the play even much more corny. One, it was all in writing. If you would have just read that shit and fucking chose a better amount, you would have been all right. But all right, you didn't. But then the shit you did with it, it just makes you even look goofier. Like, come on, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
See, the ill shit is, you gotta listen to In Black America Radio. You know what I'm saying? Because
it was covered.
Said that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what made me mention it. I'd seen it, and something made me say, like, yeah, that's important to say. Or for the next go around, this silly dude get caught up in a trap. Nah, man, you don't get caught up in them traps, man. First thing you got to remember, America don't give you shit for free. That's the first thing. So if you do decide to play with America, you get in, you get out. You don't linger too long in there. You get in, you get the fuck out. If they say 2, you get 1.5. Fuck out of here. I'm not trusting. I'm getting the least. I'm not trying to get all that shit. I'm trying to get enough just to do what I got to do. But I'm not even trying to touch the surface, because they're gonna try to get you based off your greed. Based off your greed. How many drug dealer stories like that? I I went in one last time.
All of them.
And then I got, right. Why you ain't just, it's based upon your greed. It's all based upon your greed. You know what I'm saying? So you got all of that shit going on, man. So that's the love and hip hop, dude. You know, and I'm just, and it was just like, that was pretty interesting. But you know what else is interesting?
They got a storyline.
Yeah, right. That's funny. But I'll tell you another damn funny scenario that I've been reading. I'm gonna make sure there's not two of them I have. I see one. Yeah, that might be cool. All right, so this is funny story right here. So you know how the black talking heads kept saying when it came to the coronavirus, stay at home, black people. Stay at home. We the ones that's dying, right?
Yeah, right.
Here's the title of this story. New study suggests vitamin D is linked to COVID-19 mortality. How a common vitamin could become pivotal. So it goes, this is Yahoo Life. May 14th. Yeah, right? So they go, a new study from researchers at Trinity College Dublin has hypothesized that vitamin D deficiency may be linked to higher mortality rates from COVID-19. So they like, all right, vitamin D levels of older people in countries heavily affected by the coronavirus are found in places with high death rates from COVID-19, including Italy and Spain, also had high rates of vitamin D deficiency. Countries such as Norway, Finland, and Sweden, although typically less sun-filled, actually showed lower rates of vitamin D deficiency as well as lower mortality rates from COVID-19. The researchers suggest that supplementation and fortification of foods could be why vitamin D is at healthy levels there, in that optimizing vitamin D levels elsewhere may prevent serious coronavirus complications. So they like vitamin D is critical for bone and muscle health and has shown effectiveness in combating depression. Nicknamed the sunshine vitamin, it is naturally produced by the skin when exposed to sunlight, but it can also be absorbed through vitamin D-rich foods such as salmon and whole eggs, as well as supplements. Deficient in this vitamin, which is more common among black people, can lead to problems like bone issues and hair loss, and can compromise the immune system. So here's what's funny, Smoke. What was the black talking head saying? Stay inside, black people. Stay inside. Then when they found out vitamin D deficiency could lead to the mortality, now I'm hearing the black people, in particular Tyler Perry said it, but now I'm hearing the black talking heads, go outside, black people, and get that sun. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We just parrot. We just start saying whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Because we don't study for ourselves. We have to rely on white people's study, and then we figure out what we can do. And it's like all these doctors, all this medical shit, all these schools, all this whatever. And you mean to tell me black people have nothing within ourselves to be like, let me study the effects. If you're saying that black people dying at this rate, which we know we're not, black people is not dying at high rates from coronavirus death. We're dying from misguided hospital guidelines that's resulting in putting people on ventilators, which is causing, you know what I'm saying? It ain't just because we black, you know what I'm saying? Now, the funny shit about the whole thing is, it's like, when I was young, Smoke, I remember when I used to always hear black chicks in particular, they'll be like, if it's too hot, yo, come on outside and get some of this sun. Oh, I ain't trying to go outside in the sun because I ain't trying to get too black. So it's like, oh, you don't want to get too black. Oh, okay. And then you're wondering where this vitamin deficiency shit comes from. Then we had another part smoke in the 90s when you got the next set of black people who could now be grown, and then it goes, black people can't get sun cancer because of the melanin in our skin. And then white people got mad. And then they start pumping the information through the media. Black people need sunscreen too. Black people need sunscreen too. They start hearing black people saying, just because you black don't mean you don't need sunscreen. But what does sunscreen do? Blocks the sun. When you block the sun, you block in the vitamin D. So now I'm listening to the news, and they're talking about the sunscreen. So now they're telling the people, don't put that much sunscreen on. And I'm just like, this shit's hilarious, man. At the end of the day, black people, you have to know your body. And at the other part of the day, black people, you have to realize your body ain't the same body as everybody else's body. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't sit there and listen to a white person tell you what's good for them when your skin is darker. You have to find out what's good for your skin and good for your body. You can't listen to what somebody else's skin is doing. They need sunblock, let them put sunblock on. Your black ass, you putting sunblock on, you blocking the vitamin needed to strengthen your immune system. And with a strong immune system, naturally, you prevent, your body fight off any viruses and diseases and shit like that. But we don't realize that because what happened is, as generations go on, the knowledge slow down. So then you end up having these children growing up without the information. So now you want to, you have to say to yourself, like the best example I could give is like a woman. The woman's body is designed to give birth, naturally. Her body is designed to give birth. But then as time went on, hundreds of years went on, you're giving the woman medications when she cramping, and medications for this, and medications for that, and sterilizations and all kind of shit. Now she's afraid to give birth. Or if she feel a little pain or something from a cramp, it's weeping and moaning and wailing and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but if you look at the woman prior to that, that probably didn't even bother them. You see what I'm saying? Same thing with men. You have men walking straight back. You know what I'm saying? Look at you dead in your fucking eye and shit like that. You can't do silly shit around in the presence of men. Now, hundreds of years later, you got guys and shit arching their eyebrows. You know what I'm saying? Fucking talking about, I support my son if he wants to be a girl. And it's just like, getting down well, shit like that couldn't fly when men was walking. You know what I'm saying? So everything get watered down after a while. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing happened to our body. We don't know our bodies, so then we end up, let me run to the doctor. Hey, doctor. What is a doctor? A doctor is another human. That's what a doctor is, another human. So you run to the doctor. Hey, doctor, I don't know my body. The doctor says, well, what's going on with your body? And then you tell the doctor what's going on with your body, and then they follow a guideline. That's it. Now, if the guideline works, you survive. If the guideline don't work, you die. You put your hand in another person, you know what I'm saying, because you don't want to learn yourself. You hear stories, Smoke, where people that sit there and be like, I went to the hospital to pick up my high blood pressure medicine. But why don't you learn what's causing your pressure to get high. So you don't have to. You dig what I'm saying? But we're not even thinking like that no more, because the first thing we say is, you know what? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the thing is though, is like, it's been common knowledge amongst the black community that the hospitals been killing us, the police kill us, all these little institutions and shit be killing us. Like, this ain't nothing new. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, when it comes down to it, we really not taking care of ourselves, so then we go and we rely on it, even though we know this already. But it's the fact that we just not doing it. We're not taking care of ourselves. So at the end of the day, you're like, well, I can't just do nothing. I'm going to just go to the hospital. So it's like, we know those institutions, that they don't take care of us when we go there. So that means we got to put that much more emphasis in our hands on, you know what I'm saying, eating better so your kids eat better. Because shit, if you eat fucked up, your kids going to eat fucked up. The grandkids, these how these diseases and shit pass on, and we'll say that it's like, you know, you inherited it. It's your genes.
Yeah.
It's in your genes.
This is a curse.
You know, family genes and shit like that. But yeah, all of y'all fucking eat, you know, have a certain diet, or, you know, certain physical activities and things like that you do or don't do. You know, that get passed on, you know what I'm saying? So we got to stop acting like we don't know the information. You got to look in the mirror and just say that, you know, we just ignoring shit, basically. And if you ignore shit, you're going to be a victim of whatever happens. You can't control what happens.
Exactly.
To me, that's what be happening. You can make mad excuses, but you're not saying nothing new. Like, we ain't saying nothing groundbreaking or, like, something that's new. It's just that we got to really do that shit and pay attention. And in this case, you know, like, a year, 2 years ago, the last 2-3 years, it's been a Dr. Sebi movement. You've been on social media, all you see is Dr. Sebi. You know, when Nipsey Hussle got killed, that was a conspiracy. They want to stop Dr. Sebi information, blah, blah, blah. All this information is out there, how to eat and all that shit. A lot of us not following it, especially the older folks, you know what I'm saying? So now when you're in a situation where you got a virus that's running around affecting people's health, the people that's less healthy is being affected. So you go back to that story, you know what I'm saying? He's saying about you know, getting vitamin D through the sun. If you're not going outside, you're not being active. I mean, some people might have an in-home gym and they like a hermit and they just sit in the house. That's probably a small percentage of people. Most people, if you're not getting out in the sun or your backyard or wherever, taking a walk, you know you're not healthy. So it's just like, those are small things that we can do and shit. But we know that information already. So we just got to act like we know it. You know what I mean?
And we got to do something with it. And that's the reason why we keep emphasizing it on the show, is because we realize that it's not being put out there. Now, I'm about to get ready to go to the caller, but I just want to put that out there. The information is out there, but they're not telling you the information. And when we break down some of these COVID-19 stories, I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you a story of a doctor who caught it and what he said about it. And then I'm going to ask the question, why is all them black nurses, like last month, right? Why all them black nurses, they kept running to the hospital to get tested, to go to the hospitals and shit. And I'm like, how you don't know how to handle this fucking disease? Right? I'm going to show you a doctor now who took the procedure in his own hand. And then I'm going to read another story about a hospital in Texas on how they handle the COVID shit. So you can see that the reason why black people is dying from the COVID-19 shit is because of the guidelines. It's not because of the virus. Caller 314. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on, man? It's Bianchi.
What's going on? What's going on, Bianchi?
People used to say don't go out in the sun because you get black. They also said don't drink coffee because it'll make you black too.
All these little things.
But back in the day, we had measles parties. Y'all ever been to a measles party?
Nah, but I heard about that though.
Yeah, if there was a kid in the neighborhood had measles, all the parents would bring their children over, and they have a party so they could catch it and get over it. They had one for the mumps too. I never had no measles and mumps shots when I was coming up.
Oh, man.
So
I ain't never heard that one.
yeah, and
I heard that. I heard that before.
the human genome has been exposed since its beginning to over 324 trillion viruses. 324 trillion. And there's more virus around us than stars in the universe. Well, people don't know that. And you can't get a vaccination for each and every one of them. Look what they have, the battery of shots that a newborn gets, a new child. People are trying to associate that with autism. Because they give you a shot that contains antibodies for measles, mumps, rubella. Well, hell, in your life, you don't catch all of them at one time. And you know the shot is actually giving you the disease.
The damn
flu shots give you the flu. So no wonder the child is all messed up from that.
Yeah, vaccines ain't no joke.
Absolutely. So see today you got people that's scared. You can't help. Ain't nothing you can do. Person scared. Some people scared to come out. They probably in the house and under the bed. They just scared.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do with somebody that's scared.
Exactly.
Fear. That fear is something else. And it's like, it's funny to me that with the whole fear, because it's two groups of people that I laugh at that's afraid. It's the conscious community who for decades been preaching about eating right and taking supplements. So when I'm hearing them be afraid.
And drinking alkaline water.
Yeah, alkaline water. Yeah, I'm like, why are you afraid? You should be at the forefront. Like, I know my body is strong enough to deal with this. And the other group of people is the ones who want to take over the government, who want to destroy the not take over the government, the one who want to destroy the white supremacist structure. They make me laugh too, because I'm like, how you want to destroy the system, but then once the government say go inside the house, it's a virus, you're like, okay. So it's like them two people make me laugh because their whole whole forum is over now. Right.
I had a grandfather that smoked Chesterfield cigarettes, ate whatever he want, pork, beef, and he outlived Dr. Sabi. He outlived Dr. Africa. He outlived Dick Gregory, who's supposed to live to be 150 years. And he done all those things. So,
well, Dr. Sabi was murdered too, so that's a little different.
Well, yeah, they say he was, but I don't know. But I can name a lot of them that has had those type of things. Now, if a person like that, that's fine. But don't be trying to get everybody else to do that if they don't want to. People used to say ancient Egyptians didn't eat meat. Well, damn, you go into the temples, you see pictures of them festivals. They got a big old cow leg sticking out the damn basket, a hog, and everything else. Fish.
Yeah, I feel like, to me, I always say, those to me, that's just moot points. Economy is where the whole focus should be at. What you eat and everything else, that's just what it is. It's, like, as you grow as a people, I feel like the people would determine what should be included and what should be dashed away. You know what I'm saying? Collectively. Because if collectively, if pork is giving you high blood pressure, then after a while, people would naturally stray away.
Yeah. You have to be moderate in what you do and don't do anything that's going to be detrimental. or indulge in anything that's going to be detrimental. Heck, over there in one of them in France, they drink wine with their meals, and people attribute that to longevity in their life. But if you would, you couldn't take early. Yeah. So what they do in that climate, and that's another thing too. When you take people out of one geographical region where the climate is what it is, like in, say, Ghana, the coldest it's ever been, 67 degrees. Well, you take people off the equator and put their butts way up in Idaho, in North Dakota, in Montana. Well, that's going to cause some type of effect on them.
Yeah.
Strawberries wasn't meant to be ate all year long. You ain't supposed to eat strawberries in January, but some people do. I mean, you got to have a rest from some of those things. And then, what we call black today, or hell, Alicia Keys, you take her and put her in Nigeria, she going to get burnt with that sun.
Mhm. Yes, she will.
Absolutely, she will.
Yes, she will.
So it is some reality to those things. People don't like to talk about them, though, but what can I say?
Yeah, but burnt and having cancer, though.
Well, black people can get skin cancer. I know that can happen. Just like men can get breast cancer.
Yeah. But the rate is high.
Yeah, the rate is minuscule.
Yeah.
Every now and then something pop up.
Yeah.
And that's like them viruses. A person, if viruses flew in the air like birds, well, hell, back in the day when explorers used to go around and come in contact with different groups of people and pass stuff on to them and used to decimate their population, hell, why come they just stay in their country and everybody cough at one time? Should have had the same effects, right? Yeah. So you got things in the air that kill viruses. Either the ultraviolet rays of the sun or something. Virus is just like anything else. They try to live. You ever bit the cuticle on one of your fingernails, and then the bacteria in your mouth? Your mouth has more bacteria in anything than a urine or a toilet. And next thing you know, your fingers swell up on the tip. Then you touch it, it's hot. Well, it's hot because there's a war going on in that spot. And your immune system, your white blood cells, has pushed that infection toward the end to keep it from going into other parts of your body. When you go to the doctor, the first thing you don't do is put some alcohol on, take a needle and punch it and let that pulse out. That pulse is mess and dead debris. That's why it stinks.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that quite a few times, biting my nail back in the day. I know exactly what you're talking.
So that's what the body does.
I got a question for you, though, Pianki. China's out here really flexing his muscle and trying to show his dominance now. These ain't the Chinese from back in the day. These some new Chinese. What you think about them?
Well, the United States is going to have to check China.
Yep.
See, China, if it wasn't for the United States, Japan would have ran all over China, all over Australia, and everything around it. Probably would have went over to India, too. Japan was very strong. Japan had a stronger Navy than the United States.
Yeah,
but it's something about, and I hate this, I got to say it like this, something about this white man. That son of a gun don't mind dying. He will kill death itself.
Yeah.
And they do it for they volunteer. They ain't getting paid. Back in the day, I mean, back in the 1800s, in those wars, Civil War, you know what killed the most people in the Civil War, weren't you? Was diseases. Same with the Mexican-American War. And most of them, if they capture the enemy, they treat them nice. In the Mexican-American War, they captured some Mexicans troops. Now, when they ran through the Alamo, they killed over 340 prisoners, American prisoners. Then when you had the American general, and I can't think of his name right now, he was something else too. He come to me, Winfield Scott. Winfield Scott took some Mexican prisoners, and I'd be damned, they let them go. Well, hell, you let them go, they're just going to come back next week and fight your butt again and learn something.
Yeah.
I ain't letting nobody go.
Nah, the TV, I always feel like that was one of, like, I don't know how accurate it is, but I know every time I watch stories like that on TV and shit, like the one of the movies about, you know, black villages or whatever, and they'll win and they'll let the remainder whites live. And I used to be like, why would you do that? Because now they go back and they just tell them, yo, you got to double up, triple up. This is how, you know what I'm saying, this is how you can divide them. And that's how they always use strategy against us. But I feel like the reason why the white man's like that is because of his number on the planet. So it's like they probably look at the world like it's us versus everybody else. So it's always a attack first and have to survive mentality, where everybody else have a different type of mentality, I guess, especially us.
I don't know about that. Hey, I know Japan would have took over the Philippines. You know what the Philippines' first flag was? It was a KKK. Did you know that? Red flag with white KKK on it.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
During the Philippine American War at that time. United States, when they defeated Japan, and they, you know, MacArthur went back into Japan and Philippines and ran the Japanese out. They didn't give Japan its independence right away. And I kind of don't understand why, because they want to have a presence there for future bases, which they do have now. Guam, probably Guadalcanal in the Philippines. Same thing with Cuba. When they defeated them elements in Cuba, they didn't give Cuba its... They defeated the Spanish. The Spanish had control of Cuba. The Spanish had control of the West, that the Indians was fighting. The Spanish had control of Mexico. The United States came in and defeated the Spanish. They barely did defeat the Spanish. And that was something else, too, because they kept getting volunteers, and men would come out of places like Kentucky and Mississippi. They always have produced some hellified soldiers, and they was already marksmanship with guns. That's the same with this argument that they didn't want people to have guns. Well, hell, them people went to the damn war. They was ready to shoot. They didn't have to teach them.
Right.
The Mississippi riflemen, the Tennessee volunteers, them dudes down in Kentucky, the militia, and you know they came as far out as New York to fight New Mexico down in Texas. And you know how they got there? They walked.
Oh. Wow.
Pulling cannons that weighed 2,000 pounds.
Wow.
Then after they beat Mexico there at Texas, they went over into California and beat them some more. Then they paid them $15 million for that land. They first offered them $30 million. They didn't want it. But anyway, it is what it is now. But no, China's going to have to be checked, because China is throwing some wolf tickets out there, like down in Venezuela. saying they're not going to let Venezuela be invaded. All right. China ain't got no military. Now, they got a military, but they don't have no Navy right now.
No.
And I don't think, because if they had a Navy, then they would be putting a battle groups, carriers, destroyers, and cruisers in our waters, off of our waters, or down in the Caribbean. So you have to keep your eye open for that.
Yeah, I don't even think they got an army, really. I just feel like
they got an army now. They got an army.
No. When I say I'm talking about in comparison to America.
Well,
because
yeah, they got men. They got a larger man count, but they can't walk the water like Jesus Christ supposed to have walked.
Right. They can't do. Yeah. I mean, I know militarily, like on the sea they can. But I'm just saying, like, because if you remember with the Japanese and the Chinese war, what was that, World War II? And them Japanese were chopping off all them Chinese heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
After a while, a lot of their armies end up dropping their weapons and fleeing. So I'm just
you mean the Chinese?
I mean the Chinese, yeah. So I started looking at it more on the heart. Like, after a while, they will see if it's too much destruction and they can't stand up to America. Because it seems like they have more economic power, not war power. Like, America got war
Well,
power.
you know why come they got so much economic power? Because they sell stuff to the United States. Now, one thing that should be put in place on the heels of this pandemic is that everything that you are, as much as possible that you are manufacturing in China, you need to start manufacturing it back here in the United States.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yep.
And putting
that's
Americans
what Trump is doing.
Work and training Americans. Blacks talking about businesses. Absolutely. See, here's the thing. Blacks talk about starting businesses, and they make reference about buying stuff from white men. Well, hell, if you start a business, now, see, they're talking about buying stuff from white stores. But if you started a black store, you still putting stuff in that store that's made by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not deriving the greatest good because it's just that merchant that's being, enriched to a certain. And really, they're not going to be enriched merch because you got to buy that stuff wholesale, and your wholesalers ain't no damn fool. They ain't going to sell stuff to you that they would sell their kiss and kin. So there's no shortcut to that. You got to have that control from the rooter to the tutor, as they used to say. All right, fellas, I'll let you get back to your conversation. I'm sorry to interrupt.
All right, no problem.
Stay out of the sun. Stay out of the sun. Don't drink that black coffee.
All right, brother. Peace, man.
All right, take care, man.
Another good build with the brother Pianki. Another good build.
Yeah, Pianki. Yeah.
And I wanted to get into this part of the story and shit like that. A little quick rundown. It's not the full story, but we're just gonna talk about a little quick rundown. So the title of this story, I'm not even going to talk about what the rundown is. We're just going to talk about the title of the story. Armed mob allegedly tried to enter a black family's North Carolina home, and a white deputy was charged. So they said the sheriff's deputy in North Carolina is facing criminal charges after authorities said he led a group of armed people to the wrong house in a search for a missing girl. New Hanover County District Attorney Ben Davis said Friday that Jordan Kitta, who worked in a New Hanover sheriff office, led an armed group to the home of Damian Shepard, a senior at Laney High School in Wilmington on May 3rd. According to James...
That's Michael Jordan High School.
Yeah, May 3rd. You still having?
Laney High School in Wilmington? That's Michael Jordan High School.
What? Yeah, they said a senior at Laney, Laney. Yeah, Laney High School in Wilmington on May 3rd.
Yeah, that's right.
According to James W. Lee, a lawyer from Shepard's family, for Shepard's family, who is preparing a civil lawsuit. Shepard, who is black, says the all-white group tried unsuccessfully to force its way into the family's Peter County home about 20 miles north of Wilmington. His mother, Monica Shepard, told the group that they should leave. Come into the door like that with a mob of people with guns. What do we expect? What were their intentions? Monica Shepard told the TV news. What if he was the person they was looking for? Or what if I was not home? What would have happened? I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want him to be a statistic. It's scary. So it goes, Kidda was looking for Lakita Kempsey, a 15-year-old girl who was reported missing earlier that day. She was later found safe. In its effort to find Lakita, Kidda's group was searching for someone named Joshua who used to live next door. During the confrontation, Shepard repeatedly tried to point out to the group that they had the wrong house and that a yard sign out front explicitly congratulated Damian on his high school graduation to no avail, Shepard told the news outlet. They were believed to be some sort of family relation between Kidda and Lakita Kempsey, Davis said. Kidda will be charged with trespassing and breaking and entering in addition to willful failure to discharge duties, which is a charge stemming from failure to uphold his duty. All right, so they're just talking about all the shit that he gonna get. So, then they got a second man in Kidda's group. Where they say authorities say Kidda has been fired. It's unclear whether he have an attorney or not. And a second man in Kidda's group is also facing criminal charges for going armed to the terror of the public. Yeah, so it's like, damn, they run up in this damn family crib, you know what I'm saying? And it's like...
These cats don't be intelligent, man, because, all right, this done happened before, you know what I'm saying? They don't let... But he got a sign on the lawn. Like, come on, son. Like, it's like these cats don't even be intelligent, man. These are people that we be trying to say is supreme to us and shit.
You know what I'm saying? Well, like I said,
but at least you get up out of here, get him out of office, get him out of there.
Yeah, he got out of there and be glad that the mother was there. You know what I'm saying? Because if it was just him, he probably would have butt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you already know how that shit is. And then this is the same story going on now with the sister Breonna Taylor. The same story, right? Well, this title is Louisville police conducting a drug bust charged into Breonna Taylor's house and shot her 8 times. Her family says they were at the wrong address. So that's 2 wrong addresses, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I said. And I said it on the previous show. I'm not concerned about coronavirus. Coronavirus ain't my concern. I'm concerned about gunshots. You know what I'm saying? As a black man living in America, I'm concerned about getting murked, whether it's by another black person, police, some fucking crazy-ass cracker. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my concern. My concern, I can't put a mask on to protect me from bullets. You know what I'm saying? Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not worried
you
about
still got to remember we in this world. You know what I'm saying? You got to protect your neck. You know what I'm saying? Rizzo said that shit all the time. We said that one time ago. Protect your neck. You can't walk around thinking that shit is fair for us.
It is
the
sweet.
Constitution is written for us and all of that shit. Like, you know, we citizens, basically. We got to protect our neck, and we should know that. Again, this is information that we know already. We walk through dangerous hoods all the time. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna wear red in a blue neighborhood. You ain't gonna do that. You're gonna know that. You're like, all right, don't go over here. You're gonna protect your neck. You know what I'm saying? So we got to remember that when we amongst all people. We amongst ourselves, we looking at each other like snakes. Like, oh yeah, you gotta watch them niggas over there. We got our head on a swivel. But once we get around other people or we move in their areas, we tend to let our guard down and think that, you know, we good now. But it's never like that for us, man. You know what I'm saying? No matter where you at. You always got to remember we're in America. We know that shit. That shit we know already.
Word on. We keep on thinking shit is sweet. That's the sad part. We keep thinking shit is sweet. You know what I'm saying? And shit ain't sweet for us. But we want to keep believing it. And then we don't want to do the shit to damn try to protect ourselves. So this sister here, another situation of a wrong house situation, right? So they go, Breonna Taylor, 26, was shot and killed by police in her Louisville home on March 13th by the narcos, right? During a narco bust. Police said someone inside the apartment opened fire at them, injuring an officer. But a defense attorney for Taylor's boyfriend said in a court filing that police didn't announce themselves while entering. Kenneth Walker, the brother, the boyfriend, but he's a brother, you know, on the black side. But that's Breonna's boyfriend. He thought someone was breaking into the apartment. The family is being represented by Benjamin Crump. So, you know, he's going to be the one playing that role. The shooting death is yet another black person has been thrust into the national spotlight. This time it's the case of Breonna Taylor, 26-year-old emergency medical technician. So she's a frontline worker, putting her life on the line for coronavirus, right, Smoke? And what I said, I ain't worrying about coronavirus. I'm worrying about gunshots. You know what I'm saying? I'm worrying about gunshot, yo. So she's a frontline worker, right? So I'm an essential worker, whatever, right? 26 years old, medical technician, who was killed by police in Louisville home during a narco bust, right? So boom, boom, boom. So now they go. However, they say the police said they returned fire after someone in the apartment shot at them. Right, the brother. All right. However, Robert Eager, the defense attorney for Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, said in court filing that the police team, which included 2 officers and 1 sergeant, didn't knock and announce themselves when entering the apartment. While police may claim to have identified, they did not. Mr. Walker and Miss Taylor again heard a large banging on the door. Again, when they inquired, there was no response, that there were police outside. At this point, the door suddenly explodes. Counsels believe that police hit the door with a battering ram. Fired 1 round in self-defense, but officers failed to use any sound, reasonable judgment and fired more than 25 blind shots into multiple homes. These bullets didn't even just enter this one woman's home. This, you know what I'm saying? It went into different people's homes.
One shot go off, they just dumped it everywhere. Wherever they were standing at, they were shooting.
They was emptying out and shit. Mm-hmm. Following the incident, Eager said he inspected the building where the pair lived and located proof of at least 20 gunshots, 8 of which hit Taylor, killing her. Breonna Taylor was shot at least 8 times by officers' gunfire and died as a result. Breonna had posed no threat to the officers and did nothing to deserve to die by their hands. So they like, yeah. So all right. So I know I read another part of the story because I didn't mix it in with the Ahmaud Arbery story right now. But yeah, because I had read one where they were saying how there was a cop outside and he was just licking shots all through the window and shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like you couldn't even see inside there because they had a curtain. And he was just inside there just licking shots through the window. So it was just like,
yeah,
come on,
and
man.
Then, and 25 shots, that's like a shot is loud as hell. So to let, 25 shots flying through, it's like, yo, that's, I mean, at some point you got to be like, well, damn. You know, that's a lot of, and that's a long time of shooting. I mean, I'm assuming there was more than one cop that was letting those off, you know, by the story. So even still, it's like you got officers that's disregarding not only the people that's in that apartment, but in the whole area. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, it's like that can't be some kind of protocol that was followed there. You know, total disregard of life by police. So again, you got to remember we're in America. You know what I'm saying? It's not to blame the those people for anything, but it's like these are the things that happen. It's a total disregard for us and our people. You know what I mean? It's like we got to know that shit, and we got to move smarter. But that's a sad situation for her to get shot 8 times. You know, for something like that, it's like, come on, man. And when you see situations be disarmed, you know, like they disarm situations that's worse than that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know, yo. It's just crazy out here. We gotta just realize it's crazy and move smarter.
Word up. Because they try to pin it. I can't find the story, but they try to pin it on some shit like the guy they was looking for. He be stashing drugs at her house. Like they got a whole story. But you know what it remind me of? The Katherine Johnson story in Georgia, with an old woman. She like 90-something years old. Police got again a no-knock warrant. Go into the fucking crib and shit like that, and damn, bust down the door. She let off a shot. Shoot her up, kills her. And then they try to be on some shit like, oh, she was selling drugs out her house. But what happened was the informant bounced. That nigga got so spooked. And then he ended up calling the fucking feds or the GBI or whatever like that to get his testimony because he was afraid the police might kill him. That shit was the fucking crazy shit. I'm sitting over here like, you going to paint the fucking 90-something-year-old woman as a drug dealer? Like, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I'm saying? So when I'm hearing them doing that to her, I look at that as police protocol. You know what I'm saying? But we got another call right here. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Brother Mike. How are you today?
Good, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? What's good, yo?
Yes. You know, the question is, right now, the COVID virus killed approximately 50% of the death, like 40,000, plus African America. And, it's not only that, there's still many people who have died in their homes. They haven't calculated that. So the actual, the total death, which now they say the 90,000, it's going to be at least 150,000 people because they haven't accounted that. And yet, this COVID virus, as the commander-in-chief says, we are going to vaccinate everybody by force. We are going to mobilize the Army and other departments, and we are going to have 300 million vaccines by end of this year. Is he out of his mind, my friends? Vaccine, you cannot find vaccine for something that you haven't. It keep mutating, and it keep getting stronger and stronger, and yet you have failed to test your citizens for coronavirus. And how do you want to give us the vaccine for it? Go ahead, sir.
Right, that's exactly. I mean, the way I look at it is what they're going to do is they're going to, well, really and truly what they're going to do, the ones who want to take the vaccine, they're going to have the option to take it. They're going to make it optional. And the ones who don't, they're not. And they're just going to move on with life. That's how it's going to work in America. It's as simple as that. Because
but I think I think that like they just really buying time with the narrative they're putting about the vaccine coming and things like that. You know what I mean? So it might be years before it really come, but I just buy time. Like, it's coming. The next you get a definitive date. So he's probably just buying time with saying that the vaccine is coming soon.
Yeah. But yeah, I ain't tripping. See, the way I look at it with the whole Trump situation, he's even with the mask and all that shit. Trump more so like, yo, y'all could do that shit if y'all want. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you got the segment of society that agrees with that, and they're like, you know what? I'm not doing it either. And then you got another side of the segment that's like, I am going to do it. So it's always going to be that. But guess what? Every side is going to agree that we got to still move forward. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is going to be the last part of the Black Death, and that goes with Chicago right now. So they say, title, despite lockdown, no let-up in Chicago's murder rate. The streets of Chicago may be largely empty as residents hunker down from coronavirus, but some of the city's most deprived neighborhoods are still echoing to the sounds of deadly gunfire and raucous partying. While significant falls in crime has been one of the few positive side effects of lockdowns in much of the United States everywhere, they have barely made a dent in the homicide rate in Chicago, a city that had long recorded the most murders in the country. Chicago police say 56 murders were committed in April, despite statewide stay-at-home orders, only a fraction lower than the 61 for the same month in 2019. While last week, the first of the new month, 4 people was killed and 46 others shot and wounded. And then you go on and on and on and on and on. So that's my whole shit. At the end of the day, when black people are sitting around and shit like that, talking about wearing masks, like I be seeing this shit right here, Smoke. I drive by the liquor store and I'm seeing people coming out of the liquor store with a mask on, holding 2 cases of beer. You got people with masks on and shit smoking a cigarette. You know what I'm saying? Like ridiculous shit. And it's like, this shit just makes me laugh because it's like, you're not even worrying about the real shit. You worrying about the TV shit. So the TV shit telling you some shit. Cool with that. You know what I'm saying?
It's the image. I'm being healthy by putting a mask on. I'm being healthy,
right,
you know what I mean? But the reality of it, you going in the fucking liquor store with the liquor store, if you drinking liquor, that's going to affect your immune system. So if you out drinking and then you go out, you're going to be more susceptible to catch a virus or some shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like you smoking cigars. That shit is a respiratory virus. All right, you ain't really got nothing to say about that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, as long as we cool with the image, you know what I'm saying? And that's just like an American thing. But, it like when it streamlines down to us and it makes, we really look silly. You know what I mean? With a lot of the shit we do.
It's like damn, you got your gloves on and shit, you got your mask on, but you screwing a hooker raw. It's like, damn, but I got my mask on, I ain't gonna get corona though.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
The hooker. So, now let's talk about China though. talk about China now because this is the China. So here we go, China. Last show I talked about how China was punking shit, flooded a lot of money inside the World Health Organization and things of that nature. Sent out as wolf warriors, the diplomats and all kind of shit like that to punk the world. Anybody trying to check China about the virus, they over here punking them and all kind of shit. So now they like, the WHO says, the World Health Organization, this is the title, it cannot invite Taiwan to the annual summit after China says participation would severely violate the One China principle. The World Health Organization said it cannot invite Taiwan to an upcoming international health summit despite pleas from the U.S. and its allies due to divergent views after China said it deplores and opposes efforts to include Taipei in the gathering. WHO principal legal officer Stephen Solomon explained to reporters on Monday that the World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom could not, that's the Ethiopian brother, could not invite Taiwan, which is not a member of the WHO, to participate in the annual meeting of the World Health Assembly if members of the international body disagreed. To put it crisply, Director Generals only extended invitations when it's clear that member states support doing so. That Director General have a mandate, a basis to do so, Solomon explained. Today, however, the situation is not the same. Instead of clear support, there are divergent views among member states and no basis, therefore no mandate for the DG to extend an invitation. So because of that, then they say Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said last week that Tedros should include Taiwan in the upcoming World Health Assembly meeting, saying he has the power to do so, and as his predecessors have done on multiple occasions. The proposal was supported by New Zealand, Canada, Australia, and Germany, but China disbarred the claim, saying that those supporting it severely violated the One China principle.
Yeah, okay.
Last month, Tedros himself accused Taiwan of racist attacks over his handling of the corona pandemic and allegations that Taiwan denied and unprovoked and untrue. Tedros claims, so that all of that, like I said, he's a puppet. He's a clear puppet for them.
That one China policy, like them, is basically saying them, like like Taiwan is one part of China, so it's seeming like they have a different view. They trying to stand differently, and I guess inviting them would put them as a different, it's like kind of like a different entity instead of like one China, basically.
Yeah, because see, China want to rule that whole area. It's just like with the whole Hong Kong shit. But the areas where they want to be like, no, we don't want to be a part of you, they like, nah, motherfucker, you here. You here with us. I don't care where you want to go. You here. Nobody acknowledges
the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. It's like they fighting over.
Yeah. So,
they want to be the PR.
And watch this. This is a continuation of the punking, China doing punking people around the country, right? Around the world, I meant. Title: China warns France. China warns France not to sell weapons to Taiwan. China warns France on Wednesday not to sell arms to neighboring self-ruled Taiwan, which is planning to buy weapons as part of an upgrade to a French-made warship fleet brought 30 years ago. China said that Taiwan is part of one China and that the principle must be accepted by any country with which it has diplomatic relations. Arms sales to Arms sales in
I was just thinking
Taiwan.
about something.
Arms sales
Taiwan don't get
Taiwan.
those. Finish.
No, they don't get the what?
Oh, they don't get those tariffs like China. So
Nope.
like when you doing when they doing the shipping and shit, if the country of origin is China, is Taiwan, they don't get those same 25% tariffs and whatever they are now. They don't get the same ones on they products and shit that come from there. But China do. So if it's like origin China, they get. That's funny. I ain't even catch that word.
See? And Taiwan wants to be separate because I want to say that was the whole shit when, if I'm not mistaken, when Taiwan's president or whatever, like, or however the shit was, they won and they went to think. I want to say Trump went to think the Taiwan president or some shit, Taiwanese president, whatever, and China got mad and shit and was like, you can't think them. It's one China policy. Like, you can't, like, they just start flipping and shit.
Right.
So it's showing right there that they already saying to you that with the Taiwan shit, they putting pressure on France, saying, yo, one China, yo, watch it. So they putting pressure on France, right? All right. Now watch this.
Yeah, we locking all this down. Pretty much what they saying. If a bag gets sold in the park, I want it in. They want it all.
All that shit, yo. They're not sitting over here. Hold on, I'm trying to see, can I find another one? Cause I thought I had another one. Right, Chinese corona vaccine could be tested. Well, I thought I found another one. All right, so this is another one right here, though. Results in November. All right. So now, cause it was another one. It was Australia was another one they punked. They punked Australia, too. So now it comes to this title right here. The U.S. and China are on the brink of a new Cold War that could devastate the global economy. The U.S. and China, and this is for all the people that's thinking about investing, what to do with your money in the next 4 years. What the news and the TV tell y'all, Donald Trump is going to get a second election, just like I told y'all 4 years ago, when everybody thought Hillary was going to win. Donald Trump is going to get. We are in the middle of a war. There is no way in hell America, in the middle of a damn pandemic, in the middle of a damn economic war with China, that they're gonna hand it over from Trump to Biden. There's no way in hell. So this is what you need to understand. So pay attention for the next 4 years, so you can see what's going on, to prepare what's going on in the country. So they say we're essentially in the beginning of a Cold War. The director of Centers of U.S.-Chinese Relations at the Asian Society told Insider, warning of grave consequences for the global economy. For the international system as a whole, a Cold War will be devastating. The director of Asian Studies at the Council of Foreign Relations told insiders, adding that it could force countries to choose a side. Right? Now you got to remember, Iran and Russia, they click up with China. Now, obviously, China got their hands in Africa, the West Indies, Australia, France, you know what I'm saying, and shit like that. You know what I'm saying, America and all that shit. But what's going to happen is now it's going to be a new game being played, because it's going to be like, okay, do we still get from this person, or do we all end up turning our backs on this person and buying from somebody else? This is the part of the world and the part of this game that black Americans don't understand. So all the time, Smoke, when we're talking about economy, you can't make it in a capitalistic society without an economy. And if we just had an economy as black people, a lot of our issues would, go away type shit. This is what we mean. This is a prime example of that right now. Go ahead, Smoke.
Oh, man. You gotta get that shit together.
I'm telling you, man.
It's right. I mean, like one of the things that well, two things about positioning, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand what's happening so you can better position yourself, you know what I'm saying? And, you made joke of it, but it was a truth said in jest pretty much. Is like, if you don't straighten up, you're going to be an employee of the Chinese, you know what I'm saying? And that's going to be a new oppressor, you know what I'm saying? But overall, the country got to respond to all this shit that's going on out there. But life is about positioning and shit, so you just got to study what's really happening and understand where you at, with it. Like, for example, like, shortages is possibly happening, like prices going up, so you might need to change your diet, not depend on that shit so much. So it's just things like that, man, but that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That shit crazy.
Real crazy. And I just found through my files that I was looking for my other stories, so now I could continue. So now I told you that with the Cold War, right? Cold War.
Yeah, the Cold War.
China's Cold War with America.
That shit going on.
They
is like,
that
you gotta be in position. You gotta position yourself, but yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so they said that the bad part is everybody going to start to click up and choose sides. So here's the title. China fears alienation from new global economic order. Not new world order. New global economic order. One of China's top trade negotiators warned that his country's handling of the coronavirus pandemic could lead to alienation from the new global economic order. Lung Yong-tung, the former vice minister of the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation, who helped secure China a place at the World Trade Organization in 2001, added to growing concerns in Beijing over the long-term fallout. And you hear that, the long term. They're not thinking short term. They're saying the long-term fallout, how this is going to look and reflect on the Chinese when it comes to economy. China is an important participant in globalization. When people begin to talk about deglobalization, it also indicates some level of desinification. Therefore, we need to be highly wary of that. So what that means is, when they saying China is an important participation in globalization, right? What they saying is that's that shit Barack was talking about. Hey, we all need to learn another language. We need to learn Mandarin. And I keep on saying that even though there's nothing wrong with learning another language, right? Nothing wrong with learning another language. But everybody know and understand that person that learns the other person's language is the conquered. The conquered is the person that learns the language, not the conqueror. When you're conquering somebody, you make them learn your language. So
you gotta learn to survive.
You gotta learn to survive. So what happened is now, what else did Barack say? We're living in a global society. We have to compete globally. Now, in a globalized society, like the Chinese saying, that's where they benefit. Why? Because they become the producer in this globalized society, and we all become the consumer in this globalized society. So we will forever be working and in debt and paying and buying, while the Chinese will be the merchant and the seller. And they will be producing things and selling to us and being the consumer-based businesses where we're constantly feeding them our debt dollars, and they're collecting it, owning shit, and we will be subjugated to them forever. Now, what they fear, he said, when people begin to talk about deglobalization, meaning we're not going to sit here and we all getting our products from China. Hell fucking no. We're going to start making some of this shit out in our own land. That's what the Chinese don't like. He said it also indicates some level of de-sinification. So what he's saying by that shit is, okay, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong that y'all want to make your own products in your own land, right? It's that y'all want to make it in your own land only because y'all don't trust me anymore. And he said, so we must be wary of that. You know what I'm saying? We must be wary of that.
We spoke on a story last week of Malaysia letting it be known, I think it was Malaysia, letting it be known that, that their lands is open for, businesses to come in as an option of, rather than going to China. Like, yo, come here. COVID is low. You can come build your factory here, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So you saw that in that story where there's already people opening up their borders for other companies to come in, foreign-based companies to come in and manufacture there instead of going to China. So you see that already. There's a lot of positioning happening. People is trying to prepare for that global economic shift you were speaking of in that story. People are trying to prepare.
But
so, that's on like a big scale.
But how crazy
on a micro scale, you need to prepare.
How crazy is it that the globalization and this whole global economy bullshit literally benefits China? This ain't no shit that benefits anybody else. It's not no universal beneficial shit. It only benefits China. So here it goes, Smoke. So it goes, COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on supply chains around the world and exposing China to risk as a key manufacturer, consumer, a key manufacturer, not consumer. The disruption has also caused concern over loss of confidence in globalization. I'm going to read that again. The disruption around excuse me. The disruption has also caused concern over a loss of confidence in globalization. So because of the coronavirus, because they had to shut down their production, because it affected globally the whole supply chain, then everybody starts to scratch their head and wonder, why are we all just relying on one person to supply the world? That don't even fucking make sense. And now nobody wants to do the globalization. Chinese is getting wary of that. Now they're like, whoa, wait a minute. So that's supposed to let you know something right there. And then Black America, again. Why are we not focused on replicating everything that's being made and make sure that there's a black representation for it? Everything should have a black representation. That's how the Chinese came into power.
Yeah. It will be the time now.
When everybody else is. Huh?
It's the time is now. You know what I'm saying? This will be this will be the perfect time now because everyone is positioning. You know, you got people moving out of positions. You got people moving into positions. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we need to think about. So it's like maybe we can't replicate that right now. But as a person, individuals is looking at it. You understand what the world is doing. So you have to look at yourself like that. You say, well, all right, let me limit my consumerism. Let me try to bring money in. You know what I'm saying? Or let me do this. Let me change this up. So it's a lot of topics that we touched on that, you know, you could apply to yourself and reposition yourself so you're in a better situation. You know what I'm saying? Health-wise, change your eating. That repositions you just in case this shit come around again or whatever the case may be. You know, just whatever. So, you know, it would be the perfect time right now if we had that you know, someone with that business acumen that would be opening up a factory or, you know, something to that effect where we can start to establish, you know, the pieces for our economy. You know what I'm saying? It's like the time is right now.
And now look at this. Another part. As China pushes back on virus, Europe wakes up to the Wolf Warriors diplomacy. They say early this month, Europe ambassador in Beijing submitted to Chinese censorship. He submitted to Chinese censorship, seeking to mark an anniversary of the European Union relations with China on May 6th. He and the EU 27 ambassadors co-wrote an opinion piece titled EU-China, Ties Vital Amid Global Crisis, for publication on embassy websites and in China Daily, an English-language newspaper controlled by the state. The outbreak of the coronavirus in China and its subsequent spread to the rest of the world over the past 3 months, said the carefully orchestrated piece had temporarily sidetracked plans for meetings. But in China Daily version, the reference to the virus starting in China was deleted. The change emerged as the article appeared on EU embassy website, causing alarm among representatives of member states. Diplomats said the ambassador, French diplomat Nicolas Chapuis, or some shit, Chapuis, had not consulted his bosses in Brussels or his fellow envoy about the change. He had, the EU executive said on May 7, unilaterally decide to accept it with considerable reluctance. So this is England censoring themselves and changing up words for China, right? Europe. Now you got this title over here, Smoke. China used trade as weapon to silence virus criticism. So you already see the two shit that China is really smacking countries up around. Don't fuck with Taiwan, pin the fucking virus on us.
Right.
Trying to silence criticism over coronavirus pandemic, China is deploying a well-used weapon, trade sanctions. Beijing had blocked some imports of Australian beef as Prime Minister Scott Morris' government, endorsed by Washington, called for a robust inquiry into the origins of the outbreak and rebuffed Chinese demands to back off. That's the story I was looking for, because Australia, I didn't know it was, endorsed by Washington, was looking for the origins of the fucking virus, and China said, yo, cool out with all that shit, and they was like, nah, fuck that, and then China was like, well, you know what, I'm not buying no fucking beef from y'all no more. And now they like, oh, because now that deals with their economy. Because you already hear what Trump said the same shit. They agreed to spend this amount of money on this, and Trump said, if y'all don't do that shit, it's going to be consequences. Straight the fuck up. But right now they're beating up on Australia. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. I'm just only tapping on these points so I can get to this last point right here, Smoke. This last point right here. China acts. Now here's this title right here from Big Bad China. China asks the U.S. to meet halfway after Trump threatens to cut ties. China on Friday urged the United States to meet it halfway and strengthen cooperation in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic after President Donald Trump threatened to sever bilateral ties. Relationship between the two largest economies has deteriorated in recent weeks, with both sides trading bars over the origins of the virus, which killed more than 300,000 people. To maintain the steady development of China-U.S. relations is the fundamental interest of the people in both countries and is conducive of world peace and stability, says the Chinese spokespeople. At President China and the U.S. should continue to strengthen cooperation against the epidemic, defend the epidemic as soon as possible, defeat it, patience, restore economic and productivities, but it requires the U.S. to meet halfway with China. The comments came after Trump further hardened his rhetoric towards China, threatening to cut ties with the rival superpower completely, as relations have steadily deteriorated over the pandemic. So, with that being said, Smoke, and the reason why I read those other stories and tried to read it fast was because I wanted to show how China was smacking up Europe, smacking up Australia, smacking up, who else they were smacking up? France, smacking up, who else they were smacking up?
Taiwan.
They're smacking up somebody. Well, they're not smacking up Taiwan, but anybody, Canada is one of them too. Anybody who try to encourage Taiwan to step out of pocket, you know what I'm saying? Then they yelling at them and they like, one policy, you know what I'm saying? Start hollering at my bitch, you know what I'm saying? So, damn. But when you got to Trump, what happened? Let's meet halfway. Let's meet halfway, yo. Yo, come on, man. Let's work together. Let's work together. You see what I'm saying? It's about
backing down on stuff. Shit.
Yeah, because you got to remember, America is still the number one economy. America is still the number one economy. So it's like, if you want to get money, you want to sell to America. You don't want to sell to fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, Mexico,
anybody else.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, because the economy is that long. Because what happens, like, let's say, for example, like this. If you say, let's say Canada. Well, we'll put all our shit to Canada. Yo, them Canadians ain't making bread like Americans are making bread. You know what I'm saying? Now, that might be some lick shots, you know what I'm saying? The Canadians might be like, yo, what? But now, we talking about economy-wise. So when they're sitting over here saying, yo, we the country is going to buy this amount of that because we can then distribute it amongst the country and sell it and make this profit as much, you know what I'm saying, make it make sense type shit? Nah. The money is over here. That's why we're the number one economy. So then it becomes, okay, that's why everybody flexing muscle now. That's why everybody flexing muscle. So, and that's what we don't get as black people. The reason why we screaming racism and shit, because look how I told you China treated Europe, and China treated France, and China treated whatever other countries I said earlier, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm going off the top of my head, but telling them, like, yo, you better do this shit or we fucking shutting your shit down. Yo, don't talk about Taiwan. Yo, we ain't going to buy your beef no more, Australia. And, shut up with that and cool out with this. And, man, listen, you know what I'm saying? Like, they talking big, heavy shit. Why? Because they're the number 2 economy in the world. In America now, when they got to America, they had to humble themselves and say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Let's, why we got to yell, man? Let's sit down, let's talk. They're more humble, you know what I'm saying? So you got to say to yourself, Smoke, if you don't want to be smacked around like Australia and everything, like, you know what I'm saying, economically, then you have to strengthen yourself up, black people. Globally, strengthen yourself up. And then you can walk around. And you know what I'm saying, and talk your talk and shit like that. It's not about an individual game. As a collective, we have to be a strong group of people. And that's how you get your respect, and that's how you can stand tall in this game. We cannot stand tall as individuals. We have to be a monolith. For y'all silly blacks, we have to be a monolith, to be one. And we you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's not no hate or talking shit about the Chinese, because the Chinese is doing what the Chinese is supposed to do as Chinese. Just like whites do what they're supposed to do as whites. Everybody do what they're supposed to do for their group except blacks. We think that we're not supposed to compete, and we are. The only way for us to get what it is that we're trying to get is to compete. You know, and we're watching right here, in effect, the rise of China in our face right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. We're watching it. You gotta pay attention, man. That shit is crazy. Kind of like they're gonna make their move. You're gonna see what the damn outcome gonna be, but yeah, man, it's playing out right in front of you, man. There's mad shit going on right now.
Right in our face. That's the wild part. Now we got this story right here. I'm going to read this story because this is just a follow-up story on the Madagascar story, right? For their coronavirus tonic, right? So it goes, Madagascar president hit out at the tonic detractors. Madagascar president has said criticism. His name is Andre Rajolina, has said criticism of an untested herbal tonic that he is touting as a treatment for COVID-19 shows the West's condescending attitude towards Africa. The World Health Organization has warned against using untested remedies. Mr. Roland Gina's tonic has not gone through clinical trials. The African Union has also said it wanted to see the scientific data on the safety and efficiency of the product known as COVID Organics. If it was a European country that had actually discovered this remedy, would there be so much doubt? I don't think so, the Madagascar president said in an interview with French news channel French 24. Madagascar has reported 193 COVID-19 cases and no deaths. So it's just funny that that story was interesting to me because, you know, I know China pumping all of that virus stuff in there. The flip side of that story is China coronavirus vaccine could be tested and manufactured in Canada. So they said China's CanSino Biologics Inc., the company behind one of the few coronavirus vaccine candidates already in clinical trials, is collaborating with the Canada National Research Council to pave the way for future trials in Canada. They said if CanSino vaccine works, the collaboration could help ensure that Canadians have access to it. Local trial data could reassure Health Canada that the vaccine is safe and local manufacturing could ensure some doses are at hand. Asked whether the collaboration would make it possible for Health Canada to consider data gathered in China, NRC said that the general data can be shared with the regulator's approval. I'm trying to see, did they do the World Health Organization on this one? I don't think so. Because I had read one where they had one through, the World Health Organization okaying some shit, and I'm just like, how you okay that, but not the herbal stuff? But they trying to say basically the Chinese got, they about to make some shit up. We'll see how that shit work. But you had something you had to say about that, Smoke?
Yeah, no, I was really just listening along to it, but I always be looking at the the money involved and shit. So it's like, people touting certain remedies. Madagascar had the the herbal tonic, and they're gonna make money off that natural remedy. You have the other countries that have groups or companies that are trying to produce these vaccines and so forth. They have a drug or a different thing. So everyone's just trying to tell what's best. But I mean, at the end of the day, for us, we usually trying to get that herbal. You know what I'm saying? It's like you need to see what Madagascar is talking about. It's big business. So it's like, while it's a pandemic, it's being all this fear going on. People dying. We've been talking about the procedures in hospitals. We got all this stuff going on. Well, these countries and large companies, they finding a way to make money off it. You know what I'm saying? So there's always a money angle to everything and shit. We got Canada in the business too, so everybody got to get it. You don't went through the whole world. In the last 2 weeks, you don't went through the whole world grabbing stories from every continent on companies that want to make a vaccination or, some type of remedy for it. The hospital side. We also spoke about the ventilators. I made a quick mention of it, the money side to that. I've seen the story of Ferrari. They just completed, what's it called? A ventilator. They just completed a ventilator that they're going to push to the market and sell. So it's big business everywhere. So no matter what, and usually fear drive that shit. So I was just thinking about that, just listening to the story and shit. Just, everybody trying to get their bread.
Word up, man. And then shit, just to add on to that, just to get onto them parts of the story. So they got this doctor named Joseph Fair, right? And he says that he was on the plane. He was on the plane and shit, and how he believed he caught the virus through the eye because he was all masked up, gloved up, fucking whatever.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But, he was on the plane. Huh?
Eye is like a mucous membrane, so.
Right. So he's saying he caught that shit through there. So he catch the shit. He ain't, you know what I'm saying, he feeling short-winded and shit. He's somebody who jogs 5 miles a day type shit. So he feeling all fucking winded and shit like that. So he goes he goes to the doctors, right? Yo, they do you want me to inoculate you or incubate you or whatever the fuck the word is, but it meaning the for the ventilator. He told them, don't put him on a ventilator. He said, put me on oxygen, right? So they put him on oxygen, and every day out of that shit, he started to feel better. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when he said that,
I would think that's what they would be doing. That shit is like a ventilator. I ain't no hospital expert, but that's what I would be thinking. If you can't breathe through the oxygen mask on, you gotta be, I don't know, but that's crazy.
I'm telling you, man, it's just so wild shit because what we don't what we don't know is a lot of us is getting killed by these fucking doctors. And I ain't even gonna say they doing it purposely, but at the same time, it's like, shit, y'all doing it. That's how we dying. We dying because of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they go, so they got.
They overwork. They don't know the strategy.
Yeah, because if you have a failed plan, then yes, you're gonna have an increased death. So now they got this small Texas hospital, right? Is finding ways to save COVID-19 patients, right? Now peep this shit, Smoke. Before the doctor unzipped his COVID unit plastic curtain, he grabbed the laminate photo from a hook label, faces behind the mask. He draped the photos over his protective gear. He entered a 20-bed unit, hyper as usual. A lung doctor specializing in intensive care. He managed emergency rooms at larger hospitals, spoken at half-dozen languages in clinics around the world. When SARS erupted, okay, he's just telling his credentials. As he noted, no days off, no time for family, no time for anything else other than COVID-19. This, he said, is what it's meant to be. Then he go, last week the unit's central hallway was chilly. A double-layer shoe covered him. Right, this is the real war. All right, so it goes. The first patient he checked was Rochelle Hodge, 43, a call center operator. She had returned to the unit the day before after leaving against his advice, potentially exposing others. The doctor leaned within inches of Hodges' face to be heard as the staff helped her sit up. They eased her long brown ponytail aside and gingerly lowered her hospital gown to slide an ultrasound wand under her chest. Her lungs appeared to be black and white on a black and white monitor, inflamed. Nurses reviewed the chart and jotted down her vital signs. The white legs on there, which was in American, and that was it. How are you feeling, baby? Verone, that's the doctor, asked, touching Hodges' shoulder. You look much better. Hodges frowned. When I get up and I try to walk, I'm short of breath. Now remember, Smoke, this is what the black man said. When you're moving around, you might throw up, you know what I'm saying, you're feeling like shit, that's when you're getting better, right? The doctor reassures her that she was healing. By the time he moved on, Hodges was smiling. Verone checked on a woman who had arrived at the hospital days before seeking narcotics, needed needle pricks in her arms, only to be diagnosed with COVID-19. Then he visited a jail guard a few doors down who may have been exposed at work. At least 229 county jail employees had contracted the COVID. One inmate had died. And of 800 others tested, 40 was positive. So that's that. Next, the doctor greeted this Italian, a cook at an Italian restaurant. How are you feeling? Verone asked in Spanish as the nurses lowered Cervantes' gown for his chest ultrasound. Cervantes is 43 years old. That's the Italian. Had been hospitalized 11 days. He said he felt well enough to return to work to support his wife and 4 kids, but he could barely sit up in bed. On the ultrasound monitor, Verone saw blood clots that could cause a stroke. The doctor declared Cervantes would have to stay a bit longer. Little by little, you're getting better, said Anita Patty, 26, the hospital chief nurse. Cervantes was not put on a ventilator. Though the breathing machine had become commonplace, Verone believes they decrease survival rate to about 20%. Now watch this, Mo. It's all about how you talk. He said, so the breathing machine have become commonplace, not where he's at, not in his hospital. This is what the writer is saying. So the breathing machine has become commonplace. Varone believes they decrease survival rate to about 20%, meaning they dropped the survival rate to 20%. It's a 20% survival rate, meaning what? It's an 80% death rate. And that's something that we already spoke on previous shows, that the ventilators causes 80% death. As he passed the room of his patient, they could be heard chatting on cell phones and watching television programs in English and Spanish. Nurses had their own children draw pictures of it. It says, I don't know what place in the U.S. know more about COVID than this little hospital. The treatment and the social issues, Barone said. The next patient is Iron Brown, a 67-year-old record truck driver. Insisted he didn't have the virus, even though his chest scan showed telltale lung damage. Now, everyone thinks they got COVID. They're a COVID expert, Barone muttered, shaking his head. Before finishing morning rounds, the doctor stopped to check a senile woman. She was still on oxygen, but ready for discharge. The problem, the nursing home where she lived refused to accept her because she had COVID. We cannot find a place for her. No nursing home wants her, Barone said. After morning rounds, Panday settled into the nursing station to contact nursing homes that might accept the woman. COVID stigma also made it difficult to staff the unit. When it opened, 3 nurses quit. Almost all of the hospital respiratory therapists department stayed home. Barone has relied on loyal nurses, temps, and a slew of medical student volunteers, like one of the women talking. So they go, as Ron is 24, had traveled from Tijuana, where she attended school. After making rounds, the nurse said she could, but to wear a mask. Barone also requested, okay, boom. Barone posed for a photo. All right, I'm trying to get to the part where they talk about some more about this damn virus shit. Because it was interesting. It was interesting the way this particular doctor is treating the virus. They're not just throwing you on a ventilator. You see what I'm saying? They doing different shit. Like they even have it where they have the guy laying on his stomach, prone position. I'm trying to see, can I find that when he talks about that? They talk about the blood thinners, grudgingly, blood pressure, medical, that ambulance dispatcher, ambulance pumping, grown too long. Yeah, where is that? China, Italy, blood thinners. Yeah, anyway, I can't find it on here now, but it's basically, they was talking about it, and yeah, I wish I could have found it, where they said that, they told the guy, yo, lay on your stomach. He walked inside there, and he had no oxygen in his blood. And here it go. So it goes, Varone fumed. He vowed to contact the ambulance company, right, because the ambulance company wouldn't pick up this patient because he had the COVID. So he said in the COVID unit, Pandy and Ariza attached a blood oxygen monitor to Rodriguez's finger and slowly flipped him onto his belly to keep his airways clear. he could barely hold his head up as they attached an oxygen tube to help him breathe and the IV that pumped him with a unique cocktail of medication. You see what I'm saying? So the whole thing at the end of the day is like, there's other ways, guidelines, and methods to help. You know what I'm saying? And because we don't know, we end up following other people's guidelines, and these guidelines is fucking killing us.
Yeah.
That's
reality. Method. Not our method.
Yeah, that's a sad reality. That's a sad fucking reality and shit. And then you find out you got the other ways that you could be doing this shit that works, and it's not even being introduced because you were here. Oh, here's the other shit. So the doctor, I was saying Jeffrey Fair or some shit like that. He went inside there, told them, don't put him on a ventilator. He said, give him oxygen. And then the other thing he said was, because Gail was interviewing him, and Gail King, and it was she said it was interesting. The interesting thing was that he was tested for coronavirus 3 times, and all 3 times showed up negative. And clearly he has it. That's just showing up negative. So in the black community, what you hear? Y'all stay home, black people, don't come outside. What y'all hear? We need more ventilators. We need access to the ventilators. What else do you hear? We need testing in our communities. So we get to know the leftover shit that the white people realize it don't even work.
Yeah.
We getting the leftover shit. And that's some shit. We getting all the leftover shit that don't even fucking work. While they're changing up and figuring out other ways, we're getting the leftover shit. And then when our death increase, then we scratch our head and rub our ass and shit and say, how the hell why are we dying like this? How are we dying at these numbers? We better get to it. We got to get to it. And peep this right here, Smoke. Biden's VP pick, right? You know that's a big deal in the black community, right? Who he going to get?
Yeah.
Right? But listen to this title right here. Biden's VP pick isn't the biggest issue for Latino activists. Joe Biden would have to do more than select a Latina running mate to win over Hispanics who support could be crucial to winning the presidency, according to activists who are warning the presumptive Democratic nominee not to take their community for granted. Not black and brown, not to take their community for granted. Biden is viewed with skepticism among some Latinos for his ties to deportation policies during the Obama administration. Hispanics also strongly sided with Bernie Sanders during the Democratic primary. Right. The Hispanics also sided, it damn sure did, with Bernie Sanders during the Democratic primary. That presents a challenging dynamic for Biden, who is trying to build a multiracial, multi-generational coalition to take on President Donald Trump. He promised to pick a female vice president, and many African Americans say he could lock in the black vote if he chooses a black running mate. But some Latino leaders say Biden will have to go further to win their backing. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit?
They're going to make you work for this.
You're going to have to work for their shit. So here's my question, Smoke. If the Latinos could speak for themselves, right, why we keep saying black and brown? If the Latinos pick their own candidates opposite from blacks, why do we keep saying black and brown? It's fucking amazing to me.
That's crazy.
They want policy. They want policy. We want image. That's the crazy part.
That's crazy, man. Wasn't they just hating on Puff when he said the vote ain't gonna be free? But these other people show you that they gonna make shit work. Like, just because you do that, don't mean your job is done, my brother. You know what I'm saying? We gonna hold you accountable and shit.
And we don't get it. We sit around and shit, and we be like, oh, "Yo, what did Barack do?" It's the image. It's the image. I can now tell my son he could be somebody. The silly shit that we say. The silly shit that we say. That's the silly shit that we say. But what the Latinos say? Oh, you gotta do a whole lot more than fucking salsa. You gotta do a whole lot more. You know what I'm saying? Than fucking singing a J-Lo song to get our vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Look at the stab in the article. They said, the black talking heads is telling Joe Biden, all you need to do to lock in that black vote is to put a black woman as VP. Don't you want the black vote, Joe Biden? Yeah, sure do. Okay, we're going to make sure a black woman is VP. Latinos, what you want? More than that. We want more than that bullshit. It's like the blacks and the Latinos is at the table, right? And they like, all right, so we're gonna give y'all a VP of your race. And the Latinos looking like, get the fuck up. We like, so. The Latinos sitting over here like, get the fuck out of here. We are not about to get, and we already signing the paper. Where I sign here? Ooh, we about to get a black VP and a woman. And it's like, that's what y'all signing up for? And the Latinos the whites is like, so Latinos, what did you want? More than that. Fuck out of here. I thought we were having real negotiations.
Yeah.
Niggas jumped at the first fucking shit they threw.
Fucking, we settle for less, man. We be cool with that shit.
Cool. Like, that's the sad part, man, and we don't get it. And then we just sit over here and shit like that, and we be acting like, the reason why this shit is happening to us because of this and because of that and because of that, because of this. Man, yo, we making dumb decisions, man. We're making dumb decisions. Just like if you sit over here and you say to yourself, yo, why are black people in this position? Yo, we got to stand the fuck up. There's things that we have to do. We have to secure ourselves. We have to do the steps that we got to. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We out here getting disrespected, getting shot, killed, you know what I'm saying, and things to that. And but you got all these fucking Asians running around talking about stop the anti-racism against Chinese. And it's like, what? What the fuck is going? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man. At the end of the day, yo, black people, put up or shut up. Stop crying. Stop the racism crybaby game. It's all about competition. And right now, you're basically crying because the other people is winning. And if you want to win, you got to compete. The end. And with that note, we out of here. Got anything you got to say, Smoke?
Nah, I think you ended it off well. Thanks for the caller, shout out to Bianchi. No, I was just saying shout out to Bianchi.